or you have publicly available information of how you mishandled a customer call, or if your operations goes for a toss, like the example the previous speaker was saying, right? If your LLM went and did something wrong with the database, you know it's out there in the social media, and your brand just goes for a toss. And in a data breach kind of scenarios, especially in certain industries and environments, the amount of commercial liability that you carry, right? So exposure is there. There are enough controls. One is what I've been constantly reiterating, the right design, deployment, and monitoring. You cannot take away your responsibility from that. Second, human in the loop. All frameworks allow you to keep human in the loop, especially when the implication is too high. You put something out in social media, irrevocable. Something commercial, you send an invoice wrongly, or a contract document, your negotiation becomes tougher. And also safety, right? Especially in pharma or manufacturing environment, these are non-negotiables. There has to be a human in the loop. You cannot say that you didn't have a person to check the draft. The solution can give you a draft, speed it up, but review primarily stays human in the loop's responsibility as a control. Yeah, all this governance consistently needs a board, right? And that board has to have people from technology and IT, from the business or functional side, and also people who know ethics, compliance, and security. Just like your team should have people across, they should know how to handle data, UI, UX, AI. You should have people with functional and security knowledge, and the board which keeps a track of which use cases are going next, how have you prioritized them. When you procure technology, have you done the data security checks, right? Measuring and reporting to them if the previous use case gave ROI. This is a science which has to be there in addition to the deployment skills I mentioned. Yeah, this is the last slide on adoption, right? Again, some of this we covered earlier. There's cultural resistance, right? We have never used technology. I've been doing this for years. How can you say AI will replace that, right? Or the management hearing some negative things about AI, not wanting to do it. Definitely senior level leadership sponsorship is important for the whole organization to get, and it is you who message right. If you use, in many organizations I have seen FT reduction, full-time employee reduction. If you use that language and they hear it, you know, people are not going to adopt it. And you give them proofs of your team or another partner coming in and having done the same use case in a safe, secure, cost-effective manner, so that confidence increases, right? Cultural resistance is that. Procedural resistance, saying, I don't understand AI data and all. There is enough material out there that you can avail of with partners or others of training at different levels, junior level, mid-level management in a simple manner. In fact, I would say to some extent this initiative is greatly part of that, and kudos to you for that. Decisional resistance, right? I think a lot of the tech part, how to do it, we have spoken. Important part is to monitor that and sell successes. For example, I think kudos to this state which has done much better in AI than many other states. I drive myself in Bangalore and I don't complain about traffic. The WAC system, the traffic signal, right? The AI-driven management of traffic, I think is superb, right? So that's something which has to be celebrated as an example of which went out into the public domain. Citizenry accepted it. It will encourage others to do the same. So yeah, that's what it is. I would just like to end on a positive note. I think this is a good initiative. This state and your team has done a great job. There are enough and more examples now of AI being in production in a secure, cost-effective manner. GenAI, almost large number of projects are in production. Even Agentic, which started about a year back, is now moved from proof of concept and MVPs into production. The latest is physical AI, which is a mix of physical robots and AI. Especially NVIDIA again will be in the room later. Things like NVIDIA Omniverse to kind of simulate the layout of factories even before you go out to lay factories, to simulate factory processes, and it can be for anything, right? If you are making an overbridge, for example, simulating that before the project starts. So these are realities now, right, with the solution. So the scope of doing this is endless. You just have to follow the basics that I said from our own experiences, and it can be done cost effectively, securely, and go into production. So with that, I will end, and thanks again.
Thank you sir, for those valuable perspectives on responsible AI governance. So if anyone have any doubts, you can ask Vijay sir, else we'll proceed to the next session. Okay. Now I request Pankaj sir to please. Okay, Harsh sir, Principal Secretary Harsh Gupta sir, Praja Seva, to please give the token of gratitude to Vijay sir. Thank you, sir. Artificial intelligence requires robust digital infrastructure to deliver scalable and secure solutions. To speak on this important topic, I invite Shri Ganesh Mahabala, Director Strategic and Government Business at Media India, to take over. Please.
Good morning. Namaskara. ಎಲ್ಲ AI ನಾಯಕರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. And thank you for the opportunity given to me to talk today in this occasion of talking about AI leadership in Karnataka or by the Karnataka. Just to give a brief introduction about myself, I'm NVIDIA for the last decade, handling or heading or leading the government business and strategies. I was fortunate to be a part of the Niti Aayog's strategy on AI. The later the paper came out, I was fortunate to contribute to that. Then part of the MIT's AI policies, and then getting into the India AI mission, and I was part of many of those state level strategies discussions as well in multiple states. So what I'm going to talk today is how to enable or how to empower AI Karnataka to become an AI autonomous state. How to build that AI autonomy for Karnataka. I'm not going to give a technology pitch. That's what most of the times you expect from NVIDIA, but I reserve it and for the next line. But today I'm going to talk about a blueprint for government services transformation, a blueprint for empowering the entrepreneurs, a blueprint for making Nama Karnataka a digital Karnataka. This is a challenge every government is facing across the globe, across the country. Every state is facing. There are three challenges majorly I put up here, while there could be more. The most concerned one, which could be an opportunity for Karnataka also to cater to. The first one, the growing skill gaps. So, the growing gap of the job requirements versus the skills. The reports say that it can grow up to about 1,800 million by 2030. The number can be plus or minus, but that's a huge number. The second, the citizens, the public, expecting government services to be at par with the consumer tech. You know, when you open a government service for anything today, and I know Karnataka is leading on some of those services, and I make use of many of those Bangalore One services. But the more and more, as we move towards AI, the citizens demand or expect government to provide those services. The third one, there are countries who are already facing a challenge of not adopting AI or automating. You know, the one of the country you can go and see, read this report, they said as high as 3.5% effect on their GDP. So this could be an opportunity for Karnataka to lead in that, excel there or become attain the Nayakatva there. The first one is very, very obvious because Karnataka is known for the skills or generating the top-notch skills, exporting the skills, exporting services. So what are the essentials to attain the state economy? If you look at the right side, the four pillars, there are the more major four pillars to attain AI ecosystems. How do you build AI ecosystems? AI is no longer an individual organization's development or deployment. Even for deployment or development, you need an ecosystem. Ecosystem of investors, ecosystem of developers, ecosystem of government and ministries and researchers and academics. AI models and data localized to your language, localized to your culture, localized to our needs. And the last pillar, but the very important pillar, is local computing infrastructure or local AI computing infrastructure. But the more importantly, a scalable infrastructure. And all these four pillars are interdependent, or one knows the other one. Imagine a compute without talent. You can't do anything without a talent. You can't use an AI compute. You can't come out with an output from that. And a talent without proper data cannot generate an AI model or even AI tokens. The imperative is very clear: economical growth, the national or state level security, the preservation of the culture, and obviously innovations coming from our state. So as I move on to talking about AI infrastructure stack, or we call it the AI stack, as our CEO says, it's a 5-layer cake or 5-layer stack. And the starting from on the bottommost, I will start the very important but at scarcity, very, very crucial currency or crucial product ingredient is energy. You might have heard of the cloud builders, data center builders talking about the need of gigawatt data centers. So that's the most important ingredient. Comes on top of it chips, comes on top of it the infrastructure which is built using the energy, chips and other components, complicating components to build the whole infrastructure, which we call it the AI factory, the physical factory. And on top of this, the data and models, rightly chosen data and models, and on top of this, the applications and tokens, and in between data and models is, and on top of it is the serving layer or token factory we call it. Each layer is pretty important. However, for a state, it depends on where do you want to invest, is where you will create the value on each layer for your state and in your state. Looking at the blueprint, I talked about energy, but what is very, very important, the important asset which you will create by implementing AI or adopting AI is the tokens. Let me read out what we say. Controlling your own tokens and data lets the state to keep the money in your state and the talent in your state and the capability in your state. Imagine these tokens you are exporting and then importing. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. The tokens is nothing but you can the close analogy you can give is set of words. When you consume AI, what you do prompting. You input tokens, you input words. What you get out is set of sentences or set of paragraphs which consist of words or combination of words. These are called tokens. So you generate tokens or you consume tokens in a simple word. Obviously, I can take a much detailed technical presentation on that, but I'm just
Can I just answer that?
Yeah, please.
So on an average, you can think that one word is 1.3 tokens. Yes. One word is 1.3 tokens.
Yes. Thank you. So I'll be covering in the next few minutes the 5 recommendations. As I started saying that, I'll recommendation some few strategies for building your own AI economy. And these are what we recommend. First thing is build sizable AI factories. Why? I'll cover in the next coming slide. Collaborate and build your base models and applications. Establish token and data factories for serving to the model builders. Establish token serving or token factory as a digital infrastructure. And finally, the last one, but very important one, which I started in the second slide, enable the education for skilling to be able to practice AI, develop AI, and deploy it. The path to AI autonomy or AI leadership, there are two ways you can achieve it. One, build everything on your own. You might have heard of building foundation models, building base models, building from scratch, and so on and so forth. Little technical jargons as well. Foundation model is nothing but a model which can be further tuned to your domains, or the base model we call it as. But this takes tremendous money. You have seen, my colleagues from Deloitte and PwC spoke about globally the leading models. Whichever you take, they consume hundreds of millions of dollars, or if not billions of dollars, or they are consuming billions of dollars to create these foundation models. Now imagine if you have to go and do it. And the second thing is data. When you create multiple foundation models using the same data, it becomes repetitive. It consumes the same computing which is available there, which is a scarcity today, and it consumes a huge amount of compute, and you get delayed to get into applications and deploying the application, which is the need of the hour. And I can also say probably we are late and we missed that person. Why? Because the globe has already moved forward. You are already hearing of people talking about trillion parameter model, 3 trillion parameter model. Again, just to simplify that, these are very large models fed with very large data to serve to population scale deployments. The second path is use that open models available there. Sanjay and Vijay both talked about these open models which are available there, open weight or open source models. NVIDIA also provides the models. We also provide open data. Use some of them. I'm not saying use only NVIDIA. Use the one which is appropriate to you, and tune for your subject matter experts or your domain experts, and create those models and deploy them. And my recommendation is path B for us now, so that we can be at par with the globe or at par with the other neighboring states who are already started deploying AI. So the first recommendation, building the AI factories. Don't fragment the scarcity commodities there or electricities there, which is power, which is balance, which is utilization of funds and the resources. So there are three types or three ways you can build AI factories. The first one is, there are a lot of cloud providers who are investing on creating these capacities. You can go and take them, and if you want to be sovereign, probably you can look at the one which is built and served from our soils. The second one is ring-fenced data center. Karnataka is also supporting people to come and invest here on building up data centers. Go and take those data center spaces, either rent it out or lease it out, or take it on lease and fill with your own compute. The third way, obviously, which is required for your sensitive data or sensitive application, which you cannot, for legislation reasons, put out, use your own data centers and fill it out. The next important thing, I spoke about creating base models. The base models which can be further trained onto domain models, and which can be further used to serve the agents or the users. There are three things which you need to look at. The first, before the three things, the input is select the foundation model which is rightly suited for you. We can discuss out how do you select the base model. Those of you interested, we have experts who can come and help you out on that. Select the base model, available open models. I'm not going to say base model, open models or open source models. Create a data factory of your own data, your own Indic data, your own local data. Create a pool of researchers for research and evaluation, for fine tuning, or for changing the weights of those models if it's required, removing the biases on that or adding biases on that as appropriate, right? Selecting the right model which suits to you, and create a pre-trained base model, first step. The second step is use the experts, domain experts. If you want to implement it for agriculture, if you want to implement it for the transportation, if you want to implement it for anything, whether anything, any domain, it could be even the domains within your governance. Use those experts to create the applications on that. Then more importantly, you need to have as AI token factory, or in the simple English, a serving model. A serving model which serves to the agents in the front. Agents are the applications which you are deploying today on your devices, where you prompt or you ask your queries, you converse with that. Those need to be served by a single application on the backend or multiple applications on the backend, which may be hosted at multiple types of data centers or within that multiple data centers. So you need to have a serving layer. There is no point in going out and bringing that serving model back to you if you want an autonomy on that. Next page. The token serving layer I just spoke about, our recommendation is create a serving model which can be used as a shared model and can be given to the entrepreneurs there, given and obviously used for government to serve for the population scale deployments. Before I move on to the next recommendation, one of the challenge is the data availability. There's a very interesting statistics here. Just give an analogy, for a 100 billion parameters training, people had used, the organization used about 20 trillion tokens, and if you have to train 1 trillion parameter model, you require almost 60 trillion tokens. And today, the model builders in India are generating about 1 to 2 trillion tokens at the best. So just multiply the number of them there and look at the shortage. If the number can be, some of the things says globally it's about just 0.5%, but it could be, even if you say it's 1%, 2%, it's again pretty low to get the accuracy level my colleagues spoke about. So important, learning from that, you need to create a data factory which can create the data from the original data to create synthetic data, to curate the data, to make it available for the AI model builders, researchers, the developers, and entrepreneurs, and of course for the government. The last recommendation is scaling. Our recommendation is government should really look at how do we empower those higher education institutions with AI labs where they have hands-on experience of building, deploying, or even fine-tuning to domains, and a small a replica of the factory, at least they come out with ready for the industry so that we can bridge the gap of those skills requirements and get AI deployment pretty easily. And also, this is the area where Karnataka can excel on and become a leader of providing AI skilling for the nation, for the state, and obviously for the people. And one more observation which I has interacted with multiple states and looking at the data policy, the data center policies. you know, my only request or recommendation to every state, including Karnataka, is that let us not get into the era of 80s, 90s. If you just look back, what did we do? We created a policies for people to excel a business on IT or IT-enabled services. But slowly, as a decade went by, what happened is all those organizations which created the IT services or IT resourcing by the manpower, they started exporting this because dollar is always sweeter than rupee. But that created two issues. One, ability to get those services in India for us, for our consumption. And second thing, availability of resources and talents within the country. And third, very importantly, we paid a huge price for a couple of decades now for importing those applications and those services back into the country for our own consumption. So in the data center policy also, while it's pretty good to, we must invest investors to come and spend their money here to build up these services for the globe, but we must also ensure that on a reciprocation for the incentives you give, probably reserve a capacity, because remember what I showed in my 5 layers slide. The important element is power. Once you start giving it out, it is not that you can double it up or triple it up within a short time. And so if you reserve, you can use it for consumption for your own state, your own services. And just to give a mathematical thing, just imagine every person in this Karnataka, I'm not even talking about the citizens, every person in Karnataka has to use one agent every time he touches his device. And it has to be transacted in Karnataka. It has to be transacted on the AI data center from Karnataka. Look at the capacity you require. So this is one of my recommendations, to have a reserved capacity in the reciprocation to the incentive. And last but my slide, those of you are looking at adopting AI, implementing AI, want to know how to get in there, how to size it, what should be my best practice to adopt AI to my workload or my department's workload or my consumer's workload. There are many blueprints which have been put up there in our website, build.nvidia.com. You can go and have a look at them, freely download. Some of them have got embedded models, pre-trained models, data. You can use them the way you want. You can always write back to us. And I've also added in my appendix, in the backup slides, about 10 to 15 use cases of the public sector, use cases where AI got deployed. There is a link on every page, every slide, where you can go and read about that if you want more details. And with that, I thank you. Thank you to the government of Karnataka team for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for those insights. So, is there anyone who wants to ask any questions? Yes, I request now Manoj Kumar Meena sir to please give them a token of gratitude. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker will discuss on how generative AI is creating new opportunities for government to improve citizens' engagement and public service delivery. May I invite Shri Sachin Pachori, AI Specialist Google, to address the gathering.
Namaskara, good morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I've been told to kind of finish in 10 to 15 minutes, so I'll try to do it. Just to quickly introduce myself, I am Sachin Pachori. Neither I have worked in a public sector, neither have a team of 1,000 people, but my role is to work very closely with the state government and drive the AI initiative at Google. And I'll try to keep it very use case driven rather than technology driven. And AI for governance. Before I dive deep into this topic, Karnataka has always been in the forefront of the technology and innovation. And we believe that it's a right opportunity for us to get into the next leap of technology, which is by leveraging generative AI and artificial intelligence and embedding this across various departments to make the services more citizen-centric. Move to next slide. So I'll try to kind of spend 2 minutes each on these 5 agenda points what we have. Obviously, we have around 200 plus use cases for 35 plus departments, which are kind of actively working with 15 different states, right? If you are in the productions, if you are in the early stage, if you are in the pilot, I'll try to cover very specific few sectors and obviously the few citizen-centric services which we have been rolled out and which we are working very closely with the few of the state government. Next slide. Before I dive deep into the use cases and most of the details which are here, most of us knows about this. The vision what we have is Karnataka could become India's first AI native state. And why we believe it is because we have technology, we have right pool of talent, we have a thriving startup ecosystems, we are ranked 14 globally, and we have the right intent from the government, the budget allocated for various AI initiatives. And when you combine technology, ecosystem, talent pool, and the intent, that's where you get a platform where you can leverage technology like AI and generative AI to embed this into various departments to make it more citizen-centric. Moving to the next step, which is naturally what would it take to become AI first state. The first state in India is moving from e-governance to I-governance. The e-governance basically is digitalizing a lot of services, which Karnataka has done long back. We have Seva Sindhu, we had Bhumi, we had Sakala, where we have leveraged and digitalized a lot of process. Someone spoke about the facial recognition which has been implemented, which is a fantastic. But does it solve all of the problems? In few extent it might, in few extent it doesn't. What I mean to say is, let's say today a government officer still reads a lot of 40, 50, 60 pages of document. Earlier it was paper, now it's on digital. The idea here is how we can bring intelligence on end. And what bridges the gap is around 3 things. One is having a strong data foundation. For any AI initiative, a strong data foundation is a cornerstone. And we have worked with various governments. We are actively working to create a consolidated data set for, let's say, for our citizens, for our various departments, where the data can be accessed, is available at a single repository. We know data in silos across various departments in some form or shape which are not very standardized. So the first layer is about bringing the data standardizations, which is creating a strong data foundation. There's a very famous saying, if you put garbage in, the garbage comes out, right? So the AI will give the efficiency, accuracies better if the data on which we are building the systems is correct. The data has doesn't have an anomalies. That has been the primary reason. Second, I think a lot of people talk about the security, the transparent ecosystem, the biases, building a responsible AI ecosystem, and with the human in loop. Third is having an infrastructure which could be trusted, like what we have from Google Cloud, where our more than 7 services touches 2 billion plus people globally, right? If you have an infrastructure that could be trusted at that scale, this is what, and today we need the 3 steps which I spoke to move from e-governance to I-governance. And the problems in use cases could be many of them, as I said, right? As simple as accessing. Today, citizen has to go to various departments, has to go to various websites to kind of find a very specific information. Second is how we can improve the productivity of officer. Third is everything is how can you make everything proactive in real time, right? Which is on the monitoring, which is the third, which I mentioned here is oversight. Fourth is a reach. Service should reach citizens. Citizens should not come for a service. What are the schemes? What are the policies which citizens could avail? Can we kind of build a real-time systems which can send the notifications to the citizens if they are if they apply for a specific service? With that, I'll kind of move to the use cases, and we have picked a few of the use cases which have gone live or are in move above the pilot phase and we are ready to roll out at a state level. Number is an AI-enabled search bar for government websites. And typically problem which I spoke about, can we have a common GenAI-enabled search system for all government websites for citizen? And can it be, let's say, in a voice instead of a text? So what I mean to say is, can there be a single platform or a website, could be an application on your phone, where a citizen of a Karnataka wants to search anything, right? And it could be as he's talking to the neighbor, right? Around the street, around the policies, pension. You put the detail, it automatically gives the answer from all the website. Again, this data will be cited and grounded. When I say cited and grounded, it will not generate the data which is not there in the government documents. It will not generate the data on its own, which is the grounding of data with the sources which are already from the public websites of government of Karnataka. This is something which we have moved in production with one of the state, and this could be done for the department for the various department, for the various officers also. It's not only for citizen. Like we are working with another government to have entire data of last 100 years available in a single portal for specific department, and with the guardrails that a department officer of one cannot see the data of other department, right? And obviously it can be made publicly available if it's required. And then there is a workflow where if it has to made publicly available, who has to approve it, how has to approve it, and there is an auditing trial. Right? That's the number one use case. Second is on AI-enabled grievance classification. So a lot of times what we hear that the grievance request has gone to the wrong department, then it's get rejected, citizen has to kind of do it again. And can we build a automate classification citizen, where citizen log in with his Aadhaar number and with a mobile number and OTP, and the citizen doesn't have to write, it could be a voice enabled. If we have built the citizen data, it fills most of the form. A lot of times the forms what citizen fills, there are incorrect data, it is going to incorrect department. And these are very specific smaller use cases, not a groundbreaking use cases, but these are the few things which we are seeing from a lot of states which they want to work with us to roll out at a production level. And obviously supported with the various language. Our Gemini models support 13 plus Indian languages. Again, though it's open source, frontier, there are various ways of deploying it. I'll not much get into the technology side of it, but everything is available in the size and shape you want to deploy it. Third is very again simple, AI-enabled tender evolution. If you look at now, most of the times, people are reading around 100 pages of tender, where we need a specific metrics from this tenders itself, right? Now, we are not trying to build a system where AI will take a judgment. There will be always human in loop. What we are trying to do is, can this specific automated system do a basic OCR and pull the very critical technical parameters, compliance, the financials of the bidders, and then let the government officers, employees spend time on the judgment rather than just extracting this. So very, very simple use case, but there's something which has already been in production with the 3 states. If you could move to the next. And various use cases for AI assistant for police. Few of our esteemed speaker did speak about it, which is a traffic violation, and everything seamlessly integrates with the cameras what is already there, and you can do a localized alert, detailed identifications. Hardware compatibility is there depending upon what cameras, what IPs do you use, predictive policing. So these are the few use cases which we are actively working with around 4+ states on AI assistant for the police. Move to the next. And second, on the education, we have seen the intent and budget allocated already. We've heard about someone talking about AI university, rural university, AI personal tutor. This is the area where we are seeing a lot of the governments are actively reaching out to us, because it has a less dependency on the data, the old data, right? Because the education is something where we need to work towards 3 or 4 important use cases. One is interactive learning material. If there is an NCERT book, and we have a tool called Notebook LM, and the reason I'm bringing this up is we are working with one of the government where that tool allow you to put a specific book in any language, and the moment you put it, it has 4 or 5 options. It can create a podcast in any language. You put a book, NCERT book in English, and you tell, I want to make this NCERT learning chapter 1 of biology in Kannada in podcasting. So there are 2 people who will actually start podcast, and there is a feature where you can stop and ask them a question, and they're gonna use our models to reason and answer to in whatever language you want, right? That's just one of the example. So assistant learning is something, interactive learning is something which we are seeing a number one use cases. Second is around obviously 24/7 virtual teacher assistant. We know the teacher to students ratios are very less. We are, absolutely, this could be a very, very important use cases where a student, depending upon what journey he is in, every student is different, every student has a different way of learning, and can there be a 24/7 virtual teacher assistant which can do a handwriting verification, which can kind of create an assessment, question and answer, quiz, depending upon what level is he. If he's weak in biology or maths, then the assessment or exams would be little bit less tougher for him in that subject. So very, very easy use cases, not a groundbreaking use cases, but this is something what we are seeing is the need of hour, because we need to start small. We cannot go all in and just try to change everything. So very important use cases on education, which we are working closely with, I think 7+ different states. And third is on public healthcare. And what we believe is artificial intelligence and generative AI especially is just not only making our life easy by summarizing it, doing a chatting, doing a classification, but it's making a lot of impact in healthcare. And I just want to give example. Our Google's DeepMind team in 2024 was awarded Nobel Prize in chemistry, and the reason was they developed a model called AlphaFold 2, which solved the problem which did not solve in last 50 years, was predicting the 3D structure of protein by looking at a sequence of amino acid. And why it's such a remarkable thing was it took almost 50 years and this problem was still not solved. And how it's helping is helping the scientists, researchers to do faster drug discovery, doing a lot of research in specific medicines. So that's the impact what AI can make around healthcare. We are seeing in lot of initiatives. I was reading last evening that it is doing lot of detection in breast cancer, right? A lot of technologies, lot of universities, researchers going in US for specifically how can we leverage AI in the breast cancer, and obviously there are a lot of other diseases which AI is actively being tested to see how it can make impact. And again, and we all know, right, there are a lot of challenges and opportunity what we have in healthcare. Classic like diagnostic accuracy, doing a teleconsultation, reaching the doctors, specialized doctor, not general doctor, to the rural area faster. We know we have a very less of specialized doctor and to reach to rural area. So remote healthcare, drug discovery, a personalized treatment, and simple as a teleconsultation, right? Where a doctor gets the entire history of the patient, that how many times the patient has gone through this specific disease. It just speeds up the thing, right? So I'm not trying to get into the lot of in-depth detail about what are the cloud solution in action, but the top 3-4 you see here is AI-powered diagnostic, predictive healthcare, personalized medicines, and telemedicines platform. Just go to next. And again, this is our own open source model, MedGemma, which suggests the input modalities. When I say input modality, this is what input it can take it, and it's a little bit different from the normal models, which is for a classic text, audio, video. It's basically a clinical AI-driven foundational model. It's accept the modalities in radiology, dermatologies, pathologies, and it's an open source. You can deploy in your own infrastructure. It's available as a service through our Google Cloud platform. And again, most of the use cases which we spoke about, you can leverage this model for most of the use cases. And sorry, I'm going a little bit fast because of the time, but yeah. And there are a bunch of use cases what we are actively working on the disaster management. And the Google Earth currently have 85, the Google Earth engine have around 85+ petabytes of data. And a state government can use this data, it's already into the Google Cloud, just to query rather than commission it. So they are, like for a flood analysis, optical imagery doesn't work when it's cloudy, right? What you need is a satellite images, right? You can do the flood analysis using the Sentinel-1 SAR. You can use a deforestation analysis using a classic Hansen GFC data. And this data is already hosted on us, and it natively, seamlessly integrate with our entire stack of AI, ML, and visualization services. And something similar on the agriculture side, if you could move to the next slide. It's basically creating an agriculture landscape understanding using the same images. And how it can really help, when you have the entire agriculture landscape understanding, you can use this data as a base layer to give to a lot of thriving startup ecosystem who are building a very good solutions around it, right? Right now, the data is the number one challenge. The data is in silos. We don't have the data in the digital format. If we can leverage this Google Engine Earth data, which we talked about, right, then it unlocks so many of value proposition across various of the use cases. And just to give one use cases, if you could move to the next slide, is on creating a monitoring platform, right? If you have this data, then you can just work with few of the very good startups who are working very closely with Google on the agriculture department, where you can just look at the crop acreage, crop health, create a crop indexes, can kind of work with the farmers on the weather forecastings and let them know in the alert. And again, right, there are a lot of use cases around the farmer side where, someone from the PwC, I think he was mentioning about what fertilizer to use, how to use, are they contaminated or not. This is something which is, these are the use cases which are pretty much possible with the AI. And we are working closely with the, I think around, we have started doing a pilot with one of the state government on various use cases on agriculture, right? Again, land parcel classification, so many of use cases, and I'm happy to connect with a lot of you offline if there are any specific use cases which you have in mind and you want our teams to work on it and help you develop it. And as I said, right, because of the limitation of time, I could not cover so many of use cases, but we're actively working with around 15, 16 plus states with 35 departments on 200 plus use cases, right? And we see these are the value proposition of various AI use cases, right? And I'll not just go in most of them. Few I spoke is a voice-enabled AI assistant, smart resource planning, intelligent AI-driven policy intelligence, right? These are the foundation use cases which will have a larger impact in the long term, right? And inclusive governance is one of that, integrated civic operation. So wanted to just give you an overview with the limited time. What I had is on the value propositions for this AI use cases. And very, very important thing for the government, at least AI is just not about innovation, just not about technology, it's about the trust, right? Because the impacts are higher. And what we believe is there are, and a lot of gentlemen before me spoke very well on bringing the transparency, security, auditing, right? Our Google Cloud is MITI impaneled and we are aligned to DPDP. I mean, the idea here is to put this slide is we have a food audit trail. Whatever decisions, interaction, prompt, response which has come, this should be tracked at every level, right? Human in loop, which people spoke about it earlier. The agent security or a model security, you have a right guardrails. Then data protection, which is aligned to DPDP. Grounded and citable, every answer we get, we want to know from where it came, right? Because we don't want to, for specific sensitive data, we don't want the data to be AI generated. Data should be grounded on the documents or the details what we share. And I'm sure most of you would see when you use ChatGPT, there's a citation 1, 2. When you click it, it actually tells from where this has been taken, right? Then content prompt safeguard, which is basically ensuring that nobody does a prompt injection. Then a lot of details around threat operations, how we can kind of support the incident investigations. One is to protect it, other is once the incident has happened, how we can diagnose it. And then model choice, right? I think a lot of gentlemen spoke about the model, the open source, closed source, open weight models. The good thing about Google is we give you flexibility, freedom, choice. If you want open source, deploy in your own infrastructure, we have our Gemma models. Or if you want to use the frontier models like Gemini, which is available. And the Gemini models are deployed in India region, so the entire ML processing happens within India, right? The entire data residency is supported because entire models, the Gemini models are hosted in India. And just last couple of slides on why Google, right? And as I spoke about our Google DeepMind team, Google DeepMind team was the one who released the paper in 2017 called Transformer Architecture. And this entire models are built on this architecture called Transformer Architecture, right? And a lot of people keep asking us if Google was the one who built this, who released this paper, Transformer Architecture, why they were not the first one to release the models, right? And our answer is we have a bigger responsibility. We have a 7 different products serving 2 billion plus people globally, right? So we have a lot of things before we can release anything at such a scale, right? So, and that's the trust, what we have built within this ecosystem. And this entire infrastructure models are battle tested, right? At a battle tested at a scale of 2 billion, 4 billion, right? Everyone uses Google, Gmail, YouTube, right? So just the last slide, what we do is we work very closely with the partners like our PwC, Deloitte, and many more of them, right? We do a lot of assessments. We do assessments of your data readiness. We do assessment of your AI-specific use cases. And then we have our expert teams who work with you to build the co-pilot. What we talk about is building a sandboxing environment, trying to see what can get wrong, right? How we measures the ROI. Once we do this exercise for over a period of a month and quarter, and then we build on top the intelligence layer on top of it so that we can deploy it at a large scale layer. So that's about it. Thank you so much for your time. I'm happy to take any questions if you have, or over to you guys. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for outlining what Karnataka can adopt from successful public sector AI models. I request Tulsi Madini madam to please give him a token of gratitude. Sir. We will now adjourn for a short tea break. The tea has been arranged outside the auditorium. This will also provide us an opportunity to interact with our speakers. So we will resume at 11:15 sharp. So I request everyone to be seated a few minutes before 11:15. Thank you.
same thing, you can't say the bot did it. Anyway, our office was very close. Next to Sophia. I'll also look at if any experts from my
some things are citizen service which includes AI, chatbot, if I'm not mistaken. I can check it. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I think there are a few applications that are working, so we can see which things are that
your name. I tried to stay with 15 minutes for 11:20 or something. So by the way, I'm not the data scientist. My job is the one to ensure that. But yeah, but these people are required to actually do it. That it's not something which can just be done.
established tokens become an AI kind of.
Like the example the previous speaker was saying, right? If your LLM went and did something wrong with the database, you know it's out there in the social media, and your brand just goes for a toss. And in a data breach kind of scenarios, especially in certain industries and environments, the amount of commercial liability that you carry, right? So exposure is there. There are enough controls. One is what I've been constantly reiterating, the right design, deployment, and monitoring. You cannot take away your responsibility from that. Second, human in the loop. All frameworks allow you to keep human in the loop, especially when the implication is too high. You put something out in social media, irrevocable. Something commercial, you send an invoice wrongly, or a contract document, your negotiation becomes tougher. And also safety, right? Especially in pharma or manufacturing environment. These are non-negotiables. There has to be a human in the loop. You cannot say that you didn't have a person to check the draft. The solution can give you a draft, speed it up, but review primarily stays human in the loop's responsibility as a control. Yeah, all this governance consistently needs a board, right? And that board has to have people from technology and IT, from the business or functional side, and also people who know ethics, compliance, and security. Just like your team should have people across, they should know how to handle data, UI, UX, AI. You should have people with functional and security knowledge. And the board, which keeps a track of which use cases are going next, how have you prioritized them? When you procure technology, have you done the data security checks? Right? Measuring and reporting to them if the previous use case gave ROI. This is a science which has to be there in addition to the deployment skills I mentioned. Yeah, this is the last slide on adoption, right? Again, some of this we covered earlier. There's cultural resistance, right? We have never used technology. I've been doing this for years. How can you say AI will replace that, right? Or the management hearing some negative things about AI, not wanting to do it. Definitely senior level leadership sponsorship is important for the whole organization to get. And it is you who message right. If you use, in many organizations I've seen FT reduction, full-time employee reduction. If you use that language and they hear it, you know, people are not going to adopt it. And you give them proofs of your team or another partner coming in and having done the same use case in a safe, secure, cost-effective manner, so that confidence increases, right? Cultural resistance is that. Procedural resistance, saying, I don't understand AI data and all. There is enough material out there that you can avail of with partners or others of training at different levels, junior level, mid-level management in a simple manner. In fact, I would say to some extent this initiative is greatly part of that, and kudos to you for that. Decisional resistance, right? I think a lot of the tech part, how to do it, we have spoken. Important part is to monitor that and sell successes. For example, I think kudos to this state which has done much better in AI than many other states. I drive myself in Bangalore and I don't complain about traffic. The WAC system, the traffic signal, right? The AI-driven management of traffic, I think is superb, right? So that's something which has to be celebrated as an example of which went out into the public domain. Citizenry accepted it. It will encourage others to do the same. So yeah, that's what it is. I would just like to end on a positive note. I think this is a good initiative. This state and your team has done a great job. There are enough and more examples now of AI being in production in a secure, cost-effective manner. GenAI, almost large number of projects are in production. Even Agentic, which started about a year back, is now moved from proof of concept and MVPs into production. The latest is physical AI, which is a mix of physical robots and AI. Especially NVIDIA again will be in the room later. Things like NVIDIA Omniverse to kind of simulate the layout of factories even before you go out to play factories, to simulate factory processes, and it can be for anything, right? If you are making an overbridge, for example, simulating that before the project starts. So these are realities now, right, with the solution. So the scope of doing this is endless. You just have to follow the basics that I said from our own experiences, and it can be done cost effectively, securely, and go into production. So with that, I will end, and thanks again.
Thank you, sir, for those valuable perspectives on responsible AI governance. So if anyone have any doubts, you can ask Vijay, sir. Else we'll proceed to the next session. Okay. Now I request Pankaj, sir, to please. Okay, Harsh, sir, Principal Secretary Harsh Gupta, sir, Praja Seva, to please give the token of gratitude. Vijay, sir. And thank you, sir. Artificial intelligence requires robust digital infrastructure to deliver scalable and secure solution. To speak on this important topic, I invite Shri Ganesh Mahabala, Director Strategic and Government Business, NVIDIA India, to take over. Please.
Good morning. Namaskara. ಎಲ್ಲ AI ನಾಯಕರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. And thank you for the opportunity given to me to talk today in this occasion of talking about AI leadership in Karnataka or by the Karnataka. Just to give a brief introduction about myself, I'm NVIDIA for the last decade, handling or heading or leading the government business and strategies. I was fortunate to be a part of the Niti Aayog's strategy on AI, which later the paper came out. I was fortunate to contribute to that. Then part of the MIT's AI policies, and then getting into the India AI mission, and I was part of many of those state level strategies discussions as well in multiple states. So what I'm going to talk today is how to enable or how to empower AI, Karnataka to become an AI autonomous state. How to build that AI autonomy for Karnataka. I'm not going to give a technology pitch. That's what most of the times you expect from NVIDIA, but I reserve it and for the next line. But today I'm going to talk about a blueprint for government services transformation, a blueprint for empowering the entrepreneurs, a blueprint for making Nama Karnataka a digital Karnataka. This is a challenge every government is facing across the globe, across the country. Every state is facing. There are three challenges majorly I put up here, while there could be more. The most concerned one, which could be an opportunity for Karnataka also to cater to. The first one, the growing skill gaps. So, the growing gap of the job requirements versus the skills. The reports say that it can grow up to about 1,800 million by 2030. The number can be plus or minus, but that's a good number. The second, the citizens, the public, expecting government services to be at par with the consumer tech. You know, when you open a government service for anything today, and I know Karnataka is leading on some of those services, and I make use of many of those Bangalore One services. But the more and more, as we move towards AI, the citizens demand or expect government to provide those services. The third one, there are countries who are already facing a challenge of not adopting AI or automating. You know, the one of the country you can go and see, read this report, they said as high as 3.5% of technology and GDP. So this could be an opportunity for Karnataka to lead in that, excel there or become attain the Nayakatva there. The first one is very, very obvious because Karnataka is known for the skills or generating the top-notch skills, exporting the skills, exporting services. So what are the essentials to attain the state economy? If you look at the right side, the four pillars, there are the more major 4 pillars to attain an AI economy. Let me start with the first one, which is AI workforce. I already mentioned. How do you build that local talents to cater to the state, to create the services for the nation as well as for export. AI ecosystems. How do you build AI ecosystems? AI is no longer an individual organization's development or deployment. Even for deployment or development, you need an ecosystem. Ecosystem of investors, ecosystem of developers, ecosystem of government and ministries and researchers and academics. AI models and data localized to your language, localized to your culture, localized to our needs. And the last pillar, but the very important pillar, is local computing infrastructure or local AI computing infrastructure. But the more importantly, a scalable infrastructure.
Hope it was a refreshing break. So our next session will be focusing on multilingual AI and India's emerging ecosystem. I invite Ravi and his team to deliver this presentation. So Prerna from Sarvam will be delivering the session. Yeah. Over to you, Prerna.
Good morning, everyone. This is Prerna. I lead Public Sector GTM at Sarvam AI, and today feel honored to be the truly homegrown sovereign AI, generative AI full stack company, which is headquartered in Bangalore, very much here, to be talking about Gen AI solutions for the country. And given that we are a sovereign homegrown Gen AI company, we'll not be talking a lot about our models or the technology that we are building, but we'll talk about the learnings from deploying real population case studies that we've deployed in the last 2 years across central ministries and state governments, and what are the learnings that we've had in deploying and serving 1 billion citizens, because we are focusing our solutions on Indic language capabilities. So we'll be focusing more on our learnings across the board. So first, what does it take to really build AI for India, right? So first is that we want to manage the control of the entire stack, right from building the models, Indic models. We have a family of models from small language models to large language models. We have trained all those models from scratch, which means that we are not really building on top of other open source models, but we are taking data grounds up of the country and building the models for that. So we want to control the entire layer, that is the models, the infrastructure, which is the compute, as well as also the applications. So first is managing the control. Second is context. So since we are building grounds up, so we want to take the context and build in the linguistic diversity while building all these models. And third is constant improvement. So given the advancements that are there in frontier models, so we want to constantly evaluate our models across that, and happy to report that in a lot of Indic languages, our models are far superior than the other frontier models, and we want to constantly benchmark our models and sort of improve at that. So that is what essentially building for India is looking like. Next. And the multilingual reality here really is that we are not really building models that for the citizens, where we have to build a speech-to-text model that will do well in a very silent environment where there are 2 speakers. But we understand the realities of the country, where if we have to deploy a speech-to-text model or a conversational AI agent and make a call to a farmer, it has to be where there will be a lot of background noise. He will be really sitting on the field and there should be a lot of background noise. Or if there's a doctor interaction with a patient and the transcription has to be done, so there will be again a lot of people in queues that the doctor is engaging with, so it has to be able to manage that. So we are building the models grounds up, which is managing and catering to this multilingual reality. Next. And then also building the models which understand our sort of background and our context. Next. So yeah, so I think we'll show like a real manifestation of how our speech to text and text to speech models really are serving use cases on the ground. So we'll just let you play. This is an example of actually a Sansad conversation which is happening in Parliament. So we can pause here, but here the message is that if you see the transcription that is happening, it is actually managing the multiple speakers, which is the reality. If, for example, there's a government meeting and we are working on transcribing a lot of government meeting minutes for different governments. So there also the context is that it's not one-to-one, two officers speaking in a government meeting. It is a setting where there could be more than 10 officers, and the transcription and summarization of minutes is something that the department would essentially want within the next 10 minutes of the meeting having taken place, rather than a person who's documenting all the minutes and that file then being put up after a week's time. So this is really the speech to text, the text to speech models that we've built in, and not just in Hindi but across the 22 scheduled languages. We can move to next. And along with this, I would like to highlight couple of powerful case studies to show that how conversational AI is just now moving beyond proactive outreach. So we're talking about citizen services, G2C services, that how conversational AI, through conversational AI, we're able to now accept IVR, or instead of human call center speaking with the citizens, we can reach out at scale through AI agents. But here the delta is that we are not only just proactively reaching out to citizens for very important schemes like Ayushman Bharat Yojana, but what we are doing is we are closing the loop, which is that we are also providing back the data through government that these are the proactive eligible beneficiaries who have showed intent to enroll for the scheme, and then help them in enrolling for the scheme. So that is where AI is now moving beyond just proactive outreach to citizens at scale, but also closing the loop. Similar to this, even for property registrations, we are working with more than 10 municipalities now to not just again give reminders to the tax duers that your tax is due, but also collect the tax and help the municipalities get back the collections. So this is the entire where conversational AI is now being powerful to close the loop with the citizens. Tarak? So we can pause here, but just again, the idea that the scheme is being, this technology is being used to close the loop for the schemes with the citizens. Similarly, we reached out to 22 crore farmers for verifying digital crop records, which were actually, it is an exercise which takes place in all the states during Rabi and Kharif season. We reached out to 2 crore farmers across 7 states, and within 2 weeks time, what it helped achieve was that it helped triangulate the digital crop record data directly by taking feedback from farmers, and helped identify geographical hotspots where the largest data errors were there. So now Gen AI is being used to sort of work on these kind of solutions, and again help reduce the burden, administrative burden, which is there on the frontline workers. If you can move next. Similarly, when we talk about India and India's reality, so it is, though we are a voice first population, but a lot of our intelligence also rests in the documents. It could be the land deed records, it could be the court cases, it could be the previous manuscripts or the Indic manuscripts. So we have built in OCR and vision models from scratch on low resource languages like Odia. And again, working across within all the states to digitize and make these as searchable assets. So use OCR and vision models, which are again custom trained, and they are fine tuned from grounds up on Indic languages to be able to solve a lot of high impact use cases. And one real case study of this is what I want to just talk about. So this is for Odisha, so land record digitization for the 1900 decades, where even the land registrar offices are not able to detect, and they're not able to read that what is the language which is written in land deed documents. It is that primitive, but we are custom training. It's an R&D entire pipeline that we've built to custom train our models, Odia models, on handwritten text. So a lot of models today are very good on printed text, and also on handwritten, but not in our low resource languages which are there across the country. So we have taken that plurge to sort of work on the low resource languages, and using this, they are going to make their land deed records, more than 5 crore land deed records, into searchable assets, which can really help in land mutation going forward. So again, this is a live case study that we are working with Odisha government on. So building OCR and fine-tuning OCR models for low resources languages is one more thing that we've picked up. Similarly, working all the NEP books, the new NCERT books that have come up, we are translated them in all languages in a very short period of time to be to make it available across to students of different grades. And the last one which I want to talk about is, again, so we talked about voice, building multilingual solutions using our own models for voice to serve 1 billion citizens. Then we are talking about the document intelligence, again, fine-tuning OCR on handwritten documents, because that is where a lot of our government and public sector documentation lies. And finally, it is about productivity agents. And again, productivity agents, building productivity agents that serve the public sector, the government institutions, the PSUs, as well as the regulated sector, where we do not want to put, where the government might not want to put their data on open source models. They do not want to share the intelligence, which is the parliament responses of the last 10 years, or it could be the e-office, all the files that have moved through the e-office, but actually putting them in a very sovereign on-premise solution, which will solve as a productivity assistant for the government officials. So this is something Indus for Work is something that is again being used by 2 state governments, and we are happy to also facilitate deployment of it in more state governments. And this will really help the states and the officers to use it as a productivity assistant without having to worry that a lot of this data will, rest outside or will go out to be trained on foreign models. So this is a productivity assistant, and very, very common use. We don't think that a trillion parameter model is required to actually help the government officials as a productivity assistant. Small models, but purpose-built models, where the knowledge bases are ingested of the government officials. It could be, again, like RFP evaluation, RFP creation, or parliament answers during the monsoon season Q&A. So contextualized solutions and agents built for the government, which can act as a productivity assistant. So this is something that, again, that we are focusing on, and working with the government institutions and central ministries to deploy this at scale. So that is all from our end, and thank you.
Thank you, Prerana. I request Dr. Srivya sir to give her a token of gratitude. So moving to our next session, as government adopts artificial intelligence at scale, cybersecurity and trust become increasingly important. To speak on this critical subject, it's my privilege to invite Shri Sanjay Sahai sir, retired IPS officer. Over to you, sir.
So good afternoon, all of you. First and foremost, I thank Government of Karnataka, Chief Secretary, and all my friends in the government. I left around 6 years back for having invited me as an expert on cyber security. So that is what I wanted to state at the outset. So ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಈಗ ಸೈಬರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ? ನೀವು ಸೈಬರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರ್ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರ್ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? On a scale of 1 to 10, we will come to AI security in some time, but on a scale of 1 to 10, whether you what will you rate as your level of security? On a scale of 1 to 10, this is the first question I ask everywhere. So it is not a Sarkari audience, that is why I am asking you, I ask everybody. Huh? 4-3. Very highly rated. How many of you have gone through some cyber crime, experienced some cyber crime by now? Nearly everybody, right? Nearly everybody. And still you are rating it 3, 5, 4, whatever. Okay. So the topic of the day today is securing the AI-enabled government, cyber security, trust and digital resilience. It has another line also. I thought that they have thought to bring the whole encyclopedia here and open it up to you guys. So it is also security risks in the era of artificial intelligence, securing government data, AI systems, critical digital infrastructure. So certainly we'll take care of all these topics, which is all encompassing. So cyber security, you're telling me 2, 3, something like that. So as we move into the AI world, do you have a cordless mic? You don't have a cordless mic, you don't have a slide changer. I cannot carry this anyway. Okay. So as we are moving into the AI world, what do you feel? That the security is improving or it is deteriorating? It is improving or deteriorating? Both are happening at the same time. So at some places there is improvement. In some places there are utter deterioration. Can you tell me a couple of places where there is utter deterioration?
So now the digital thing has percolated to everybody, even in rural area. People have started using in rural area also all these payments and all, but they are not secure. What's happening day in and day out?
So most of the thing which I'll be talking about is the government and digital infrastructure, the nature of services which we provide. I think somewhere in 2018, if you don't take it otherwise, Edward Snowden, he passed a very snide remark regarding UID. And that has not been replied to date. Correct. It is told that the UID data is available in dark web and variety of other places. I will talk things which would be revealing. Nonetheless, you people need to know because you are governing the state and one of the prosperous states in this country and fortunately the IT capital. It also happened in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. It also happened with Indian Oil when there was some group in, I think, Russia, which was said to be wiped out. Revel or some group was there, ransomware gang. So it was wiped out there. They said it was dismantled, and then it appeared in Guwahati, one of the frontier offices of Indian Oil. Then we had in All Indian Institute of Medical Sciences. How many websites have been hacked? Sarkari websites. Almost all somebody is seeing. So I'll give you another nice piece of information. The presentation will be shared to you, so don't bother about it. 97% of the Fortune 500 companies have been hacked. What about the other 3%? They don't know. So they don't know where they have been hacked. So that is where we are. And today the present understanding is that there is no need to declare a hack. That person will come there, he will remain surreptitiously in your system and remain for days and months and years together, eating you like a termite, like diabetes. And when you come up with some other ailment, at that particular point in time, you will realize that you had diabetes for the last 20 years. Correct. So that is where you stand. There have been APT 32 attacks which have been discovered after nearly 12 years. Correct. Now I come from a police background. So when do we say that the case has been detected? All of you will be familiar with the police. So when do you say that the case has been detected? If there is a case. Huh? No, when it is reported, we don't say it is detected. When we are able to catch the person, we are able to get some evidence, and we are able to get the property, if it is a property case. Then we say it is detected. Now, in a cyber crime, it is supposed to be detected when it is reported. So we have brought it to that particular level where cyber crime still remains alien to the policing mechanism of this country. And by policing mechanism, I don't only mean exactly the police, because cyber security, either it is nobody's baby or it is everybody's baby. I'll give you another example. We used to have battle in the Union Home Ministry. I'll not tell you the name of the Joint Secretary. And he was of the firm opinion that cyber security belongs to the civilian bureaucracy and not to the police. But if anything happens, then it is police's baby. So I'll leave this thought to you. Now we are talking about securing the AI-enabled government. How much is the government AI-enabled? If it is. So what we are doing is that we are getting these fanciful terms and trying to conduct workshops or familiarization and awareness is something like teaching gender sensitivity to the police for the last 30 years. Correct. So that is where we broadly are. I'm still not sure of the fact that if the government has an ERP, and e-office is certainly not an ERP, let me tell you with all amount of humility. So this is broadly where we are. And I used to talk some 6 years, 7 years back also, one India, one ERP. One India, one election is a different part of the story, but one India, one ERP, one digital infrastructure, and nearly everything is creaking. So when you go to IT, IT is creaking. You go to exam is creaking. You go to CBSE, some OMR or whatever it is creaking. So we move on to the first slide of the day. How many of you can comprehend what it is? I have 56 slides. I will just restrict to 8 or 10. Just trust you. I want to leave some insight in your mind that you need to learn you are unsafe. And the government, unfortunately, is a laggard. we are hosting a first computer vision hackathon in this country, in RV College. Correct. So it is not that I have done a favor to myself. ಈ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. It is like ಅದೇನು ಕಥೆ ಇದೆ, 6 blind men and 1 elephant. So somebody is calling it the tusk, somebody is calling it the tail. Correct. So Meta, Anthropic, OpenAI and Google, we have some person from Google here. So they have to discuss today only. Today is Tuesday, right? To discuss voluntary government safety testing. Okay. Anthropic and OpenAI disclosed that their tools breach systems of other companies, stirring concerns among US lawmakers whether increasingly capable AI models could be used to conduct or facilitate cyber. ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು? ಅರ್ಥ ಏನಿದೆ? ಈ ಆಂಥ್ರೋಪಿಕ್ ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಏನು ಕಟ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಹೋಗಿ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಓಪನ್ ಎಐ or it was this ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಂಪನಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಹಗ್ಗಿಂಗ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಂಪನಿ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿದೆ. ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. What do you call sandbox? What do you call it? Okay. So we call it in regular conventional technology as sandbox. Or you know, I take that so they call it containment. Okay. So it's crossing over the containment. So Meta, OpenAI and Anthropic, they are the culprits. Meta and Google, they have just been called to the party. Okay. For your kind information, nothing great about what I do and what I study. For last nearly 170 days, but for a few days, every single day I have written on AI. Every single day. So this is where we are. Suffice to say that when we are trying to create a solution or teach you people or give a sermon that this is the way things can be done and this is the way things can be controlled, let us understand with a given finality that we know very little, and whatever we have, we need to understand and try and control that much. But if two companies in this world decide to wreck government of Karnataka or wreck government of India, I don't think we will even know as to what it is. That is very. I told you about UID. So this is the way, and there was another thing. Indians are also there. So that was data analytics for income tax. So the L1 was 80. L1 you guys understand very well. And L2 was 3 crores. So ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ? L1 ಗಿಲ್ವಾ? So they took 80 lakhs and they stole all the data in Andhra Pradesh, I think, or Telangana, one of the two. So that is broadly where we are. So Anthropic and OpenAI, and here also the government of US, they will not try to act tough wherever it is their lead and wherever they are getting a chance to control the world. Okay. So 15 Republican state attorneys general on Monday OpenAI to preserve all potentially relevant documents related to its disclosure. AI systems, they have escaped and they're hitting all around the place. It is worse than the pellet fire in Delhi. All of you know about pellet fire, right? So adukinta keddu idu. They're only the state government and the paramilitary. They're saying no, adu irlilla, adu vishay bere. Correct. So this is where we are. AI system escaped containment and hacked AI company Hugging Face. Citing a Reuters report that rogue agent in one case left notes for how future versions of itself could escape internal guardrails. So ಏನಾದರೂ ಅವರು ಕಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೇನು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇವರೇ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಆದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಯಾರು ಸಕ್ಸೆಸರ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದು CTC ಸೈನ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಅದು ದುಡ್ಡು ಹೋಯ್ತು. So we are running, and please excuse me, and I maintain the same opinion by 32 years I was in the government. It is a broken system, and Private sector people, anybody who are hearing, you please forget hearing. You're not supposed to carry everything. So this is where we are. So the AI has gained the capability on the cyber security side to improve up itself over different versions and break the guardrails which are available there. And it is after that only the government of US, literally they want to control AI and regulate and all that, which is extremely difficult. So as far as the AI-enabled governance we are talking about, so all of you are of the opinion, now we talked about cyber security on a scale to 1 to 10. Now on a scale of 1 to 10, how much will you give AI governance? ಏನಾದರೂ ಕೊಡ್ತಿರೋ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ನಂಬರೇ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹಿಡಿದು ಪಾಠ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ತರ. Okay, so whatever you give, it is left to you. So as per the capabilities of different governments in the world, we are moving from traditional digital governance to algorithmic governance. You can just keep one on, that is all. One of these mics, not one. So we are moving on to algorithmic governance. Algorithmic governance ka artha ಏನು? Anybody? Smart city ಕಥೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ? Smart city can happen only if the different verticals of that particular city has reached a level of robustness, physical, workflow, capability and digitally. And when all those things are put together, then smart city is created, which is a layer over the physical, digital functioning. It is a super layer so as to deliver you something which you have not imagined of. Like in Seoul. So the metro moves, so the numbers come and the metro itself takes care of whatever is happening. Okay. So digital governance, I think, let's not go further into it. But what we expect out of AI as a part of government is predictive analytics, targeted social welfare, automated citizen interface, and resource allocation. Now I'll just talk about your citizen interface and this thing. How many of you believe that government databases have integrity? How many of you? So anytime it comes, there is a new program which comes, they say 60 lakh fellows fraud have come. Anywhere you go, any database. We spent 2,000 crores to create the national database of crime and criminals. At least in that database, on the passport verification ಆಗಬೇಕು ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಬೇಡವಾ? ಈಗ ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಪಾಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ವೆರಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್? ಅದೇ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಬಹಳ ಹೈಟೆಕ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು. ಯಾಕೆ? ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅವ್ರು ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ ಬೇಕು? That they have come, not for the application. Okay, so this is another level of trust. This topic also has trust. Cyber security, trust and digital resilience. So this is the level of trust which the population has in the systems which you have created and which we are running. Okay, let's be very clear about it. For me, there is only one simple thing. The technology is there to facilitate, to make things seamless, to make the delivery happen with precision, without contradictory documents, and a bad trail at any point in time. And that is why you keep telling Amazon or any of these e-commerce things. So, saman kalsli ella trail irtadalva. If a wrong thing lands to you, then you keep breaking it. Same technology is not good. I think in some way or the other, same thing applies to the government. In a different way and at a totally different scale, which can be devastating for the population itself. So this is where we are. So this is some broad ideas. I thought it's a nice picture. You people will like it. So it's like those 70 mm screen and Hindi movie types or Kannada movie. So otherwise nothing great about it. And we move further. So what is the cost of a cyber attack? So the cost of a cyber attack is in millions. We faced one our website was, I'll give you the PPT, madam. I'll give you copyright is okay. So our website was hacked by Pakistanis. Our Sarkari Karnataka police website. Now what all we had to do, we only know. Now other problem. Now website is hacked. We go to FireEye or Symantec or somebody. They say to evaluate only the home page, the front interface of that website. They will charge 30 lakhs. Yavarದಲ್ಲಿ 2050. How department ಅವರು ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಕರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಲ್ವಾ? Correct. So primarily, government has declared that it cannot afford them. And you can quote me wherever you feel like. Anyway, I keep appearing on television and keep talking about government, police, everything. There's no problem. Other than one of the anchors, what is supposedly known as the Godi media. So that fellow tells me, sir, you come from the police and you have a soft corner for the youngsters. I did not reply, but anyway, what I had to reply, I replied. So this is where we are. You can tell me how much time I have to take. 12? 15. Okay. So I'll finish by 12:15. Okay. So 34% of state and local government organizations reported ahead 2.83 million. 2.83 million, ನಮ್ಮ ರೂಪೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗತ್ತಾ? Which government is ready to invest, say somewhere in the range of 27 crores? ಯಾರು ರೆಡಿ ಇದ್ದಾರಾ? ಅದೇ ಟೆಲ್ ಮಿ ಒನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, ಈಗ ನಾವು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. Have you guys ever faced a cyber security audit? ಇಲ್ಲನಾ? ಎಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಇಲ್ವಾ? 2026. And when we go out, and I was head of Karnataka police computerization also, and we did the police IT which is running now as well. So what do we go and speak out there? ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ. If you don't have, and the world knows, it is very good. But if you don't have, and the world knows that you have it, what is the conclusion? Improve ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. Okay, we move further. Take it with a pinch of salt, but if you carry something with you, it will help you, at least at your personal level, you read, understand, and you be happy about it. So government agencies ಆಯಿತು. So today, the cyber crime industry is only 9.5 trillion. India's GDP? Some will say 3, some will say 3.5, some will say 4. The official media will tell something else. And there is $9 trillion. Correct. One more fact is that China has 48 AI startups, which are unicorns. 48. Other to Aadhaar, you know, but data is it is all Sarkari. San Francisco's all apps come out of Sarkari data. Okay, we take one step further. Now top 4 or 5 companies in this world who are basically data harvesters and nothing else. Joint value ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? $13-14 trillion. Correct. Just food for thought. This PowerPoint you can circulate it. Okay. We move further. Whether the governments are prepared to withstand next wave of attacks. ಇದು ವೇವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹಳೆ ವೇವ್ ನಾವು ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ. Now next wave, I need not say anything. So that is primarily where we are, and most of the people with whom we collaborate, and let me tell you with all amount of sincerity, that we have been with the consultancy companies for not less than 10 years or more. Not 10 years, 20 years. Correct. So that is another food for thought. Okay, this is where the whole story started. It was in the year 2009, 2010. First time a code was weaponized by the same company which was indulging, same company means same governments, who were indulging this time in Iran. And they were targeting the same plant again, Natanz, for nuclear enrichment. Amele whatever 5 million tons or whatever they have, we don't know what was finally decided, and Trump and whosoever is there. So, ardu galate nadita ide. So, this is 9/11 of cyber security or cyber insecurity. So, this is the way the whole thing happened. It was an air gap system. All of us talk about air gap systems. Air gap system only, on pen drive somebody drops. You see the pen drive there. Somebody drops. If I drop pen drive here of my presentation, you'll pick up Sanjay Sai and it goes and no one may. Okay. And they put the pen drive and the virus or worm went into it. It used to stick in one machine, used to the other machine till the time they found the victim. Victim meaning that the systems of that SCADA, they were able to control, and the nuclear enrichment started behaving in a very, very weird manner. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಏನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಡ್ಯಾಶ್ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಡ್ಯಾಶ್ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ವಾಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್, ವಿಡಿಯೋ ವಾಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್, ಆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಿಂಗ್ ವಾಸ್ ರಾಂಗ್. Microsoft, Siemens, they were not able to find out. It was Ralph Lagner, German scientist. He was able to find out after one year. The offense to detection is how many days? Andaj? It is somewhere in the range of 200 days. Which means that the victim and the accused, they are sharing the same room for 200 days after the offense. Okay. So it's left to you to comprehend as to what all is going on. So this is there. 0 day, if you understand. Now we have systems, the systems which you are talking about, they can pick up 0 day like this. 0 day is a vulnerability which has not been tapped, which is not known also. And 0 day means guarantee you will crack, whatever might be the system. Now I think Mythos, or one of these, Mythos only, it was able to catch a bug which was 28 years old. Which means you have a software, you're working for 10 years, 20 years. There is a bug somebody might be exploiting, and it is there, nobody knows. So all HP, Google, Deloitte, PwC, everything ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಏನಿದೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Correct. So that is where we are. So we believe in no responsibility, no ownership, no accountability, and we have transferred the same thought and practice to all the private partners who have been working with us. I was very surprised to know one of my CCTV vendors. So I currently run a business. Okay, the technology business in cyber security, artificial intelligence, and computer vision, which is CCTV. I told him ಒಂದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ opportunity ಇದೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ನಾನು ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು. So I put 32 years and he is more sarkari. Correct. Because they don't want to be accountable. So 95% of nations will have experienced a major cyber attack by threat actors using generative AI. Correct? And 30%, only 30% will be resilient. Now, all these data of IDC doesn't apply to India only. So here it is 100%. Because somebody has to know what is generative AI, right? ಏನಿದೆ ಕತೆ ಏನಿದೆಯಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಟೈಪ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಇದು ಕೇಳಿ ಅದು ಕೇಳಿ ಇದು ಕೇಳಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಒಂದು ಇಮೇಲ್ ಹಾಕಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಯಾವ್ದು ನೋಟ್ ಬರೆಯಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಬರೆಯಕ್ಕೆ ಅದುವೇ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ತಾನೆ ಮತ್ತು ಏನೋ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅದೇ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವಾಕ್ಯ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಅದು ಎಡಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಯುವರ್ ಫಾದರ್ ದಟ್ ಲೆಟರ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಟು ಯುವರ್ ಬಾಯ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಆ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಓದ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲ These tenders, one tender they keep copying. We had one tunnel tender here only of 9 crores. Correct? Copy ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ವಾ? ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ವಾ? Correct? You can't say yes or no. That's a different story. But a consultancy tender to create a project which would be of how many crores I don't know. If that documents tender is 9 crores, you can imagine. And that fellow has the cheek and the audacity to copy it and present it to the government of Karnataka. I'm not talking about anybody else. Hey, battery is running low. Idu yake? Hack agida? Illa. Okay. Not moving. 1 second. Okay. So this is how it is. So there are 3 buckets. One is attack using AI, attack targeting AI systems, and failures in AI design and implementation. Okay? Now, I'll not take much of your time, but bear with me for another 10 minutes. And I'll take you through this whole landscape of whatever is happening in this country and globally, and I think that will remain with you for good many days, good many years. So this is where it is. Attacks using AI. ಅದು ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು the use of AI to automate, enhance, plan and skill physical attacks. This is attack using AI. Now the second is targeting AI systems. That is targeting attacks on AI systems supporting critical infrastructure. What is there behind a critical infrastructure? There is something behind that critical infrastructure through which all these things happen. What do we call it? So behind every critical infrastructure, there is a critical information infrastructure. And that runs the critical infrastructure. So that is where we are. So starting from OT, now IT has also come in a big way. Now IT, OT combined. Those are your industrial control systems. Then failure in AI design and implementation. Now, we have not implemented anything. We are at the stage of generative AI, and might be your son and you, both of you are doing the same thing with ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever. So anyway, this is where we are, and it leads to malfunctions or other unintended consequences which we are not even aware of. So currently what is happening, 5 minutes will close. So currently what is happening is that the complete cyber security landscape is in metamorphosis. Complete. AI has literally ripped it apart, and the final sentence I will tell you is, the final statement here would be different. The final thing is, he who owns the tool leads in cyber security. He who owns the tool is the leader in cyber security. If Government of India can get mythos, your 90% of the things can be sorted out in 1 month. In 1 month. At least all your codes, end to end. Correct. So here we go. What are the AI-powered cyber attacks? So you can see all this. I'll just take you through because I think I've been able to convey whatever I intended to. So rest is bonus for you guys. So deep fakes, digital identity fraud, AI-generated malware. Now what is done is that you feed, and now you can feed it in English language only, or any language. ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿ ಈ 4 ಕಂಪನೀಸ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಹೊಡಿಬೇಕು ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಲೈಕ್ ಎ ಗುಡ್ ಬಾಯ್ ಹಿ ವಿಲ್ ಸೇ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಹ್ಯಾಕ್ಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬ್ರಾಟ್ ಯು half a million dollars. So the choice of not using technology does not exist. It does not exist. It's very simple. So it goes on. Autonomous ransomware. Now ransomware used to be a huge enterprise. So their fellows used to break into the system, their fellows used to encrypt, their fellows used to take the data, their fellows used to take it to darknet. So all those drama used to happen and fellows used to get money out of it to the blackmailing business. Now what is happening is that one AI agent is taking care of all this. And that is all free or for a very small amount of money. I think if you get best of the LLM models, at least for personal use, I think within 5,000 to 10,000 rupees, you will have the best knowledge available in this world ever. And I'll tell you very frankly, for my TV panel discussions, I can manage things within 15 to 20 minutes, which earlier could not be done less than 2 to 3 hours. Correct. A presentation of this nature, how much time it could take, I have absolutely no idea. This presentation has been created in 6 hours, which itself is a huge time because I wanted to deal with the whole gamut of things which they have given me. Okay, so we move further. Logic flows, buffer overflows, authentication weaknesses, and configuration errors. Now, logic flow and buffer overflows, I don't think in any audit report I have seen. Cyber security audit ನಾನು ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಇದೆ, ಈ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಟೆಂಪ್ಲೇಟ್ ಇದೆ. ನಾನು ಸರ್ಟಿನ್ ಇಂದ ನನಗೆ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ, ನನಗೆ ಕೊಡಿ, ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಇದು ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ. So I say my life to save the thing. So that is where we have brought technology to. Correct. So we move further. AI agents with excessive privileges. Now when we start using AI agents, fortunately we are not using AI agents, we don't know what privileges to give, what privileges not to give. See, end of the day, I'll tell you one very simple story. Until unless you become 90% technology, you are not in a position to do justice to your work. Today, domain is not more than 10%. And it is presumed that you know the domain. Otherwise, a Delhi protest whether pellet gun can be used, cannot be used, that is a question of debate. And no system in the government can tell you whether it was legally to be used ever. And most probably what would have happened, to the best of my understanding and knowledge of the police, is that it will be there in the armory. Somebody would have told, idu beku, yenadru agbitre nanu yen madbeku. So some Haryana fellow, somebody will say, leja 10 bis kya andar padta hai. Chalane aata hai, haan aata hai. That's the end of the story. That is where it is. So anyway, we will move further. I'll not take much time. This is a critical infrastructure, what all can happen. And this is how we deal with the critical infrastructure. First is to map it. First understand how, where and why AI systems will be used. Second is to measure, develop systems to assess, analyze and track AI risk, and develop context-specific testing, evaluation, verification, validation, which I don't think it has been created in the government anyway. Okay, increase the benefits of AI system while decreasing the likelihood of harmful safety and security impact. Securing government data. Now, how much of government data is secure? Any idea? The beauty of the whole thing is nobody knows. ನೀವು ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು ಇಲ್ವಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸಾರ್. ನಂಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು? Basic thing I'm asking. On the data, the life cycle, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಹುಟ್ಟುತ್ತದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಅದು ಡೆತ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, or you move it out of service. So there is a data life cycle. And there is classification of data or prioritization of data, because making data secure does not come cheap. ಅದನ್ನ ಉತ್ತರ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಏನು. We are saying ನಮಗೆ 48 megapixel camera ಇದೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮಗನಂತ 78 megapixel. ನಮ್ಮ ಇಟಾಲಿಯನ್ ಮಾರ್ಬಲ್ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಚ್ಚಿದೆ, ಏನೇನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. They have got a different track altogether. Where education and learning, that has no value. We have gold medalists, we have all sorts of people clearing civil services. After 35 years of service, they are not fit to do one small job also. And nobody cares about them, nobody bothers about them. Some friend of mine, batchmate of mine, he was telling me, first now distinguished to the, ಈಗ extinguished ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ. That is your take. core paradigm shift in data security. You can see only one thing was interesting in this was model inversion and data inference. Model inversion is because of the nature of learning and the memorization of that particular model, you can do reverse engineering and find out. Correct. Same way with data inference, you can play around and you can get the details. Now, zero trust architecture, confidential computing, hardware TEs, privacy, preserving, machine learning, data provenance, integrity, and C2PA. So that is consortium of content, provenance, and authentication. Okay. So normally content yaro ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಆ white ink ಹಾಕಿ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ sign ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. It has been a major struggle for me all my life to teach them. ಇದು ಸರ್ ತಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫೈಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಇದು ತಮಾಷೆ. The sanctity of a workflow, sanctity of a signature, sanctity of a document. The Indian mentality says ಈ ಕಾಗದ ಒಂದು ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಒಂದು ಕಾಗದ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಟಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. That's all. If that is the sanctity of a document and the sanctity of the content and the sanctity of the authorization or the sanctity of the approval, then God can only save us. DPDP Act, the less said the better. I don't think there is need to get into that. Air-gapped sovereign AI infrastructure. How air-gapped it is, I told you about 2009 Stuxnet. So today we are in 2026. In Ukraine, there has been success stories of AI-enabled cloud infrastructure and been successful in maintaining the critical services, transforming the way it is approached. This is where we are. These 2-3 slides I'll show and then I'll rush through. So, Mythos 5. So, it's the frontier AI model. And what all it can do, it can literally do anything. And as a part of the project Glasswing, it can be given to 200 people, 200 institutions, organizations, countries, or whatever, of which I don't think India is there. So, frontier AI model with capabilities, required control, okay. This is Fable 5, this is the Chotu version of that. Your small signature, no, that type. So, but it is on the same engine and delivers quite a bit of it. So, these are the issues. So, the challenge is not just building powerful AI, but governing it responsibly. If we are not in a position to understand the project, execute the project, there is something called in technology as the input control and the output control. As generalist, as non-technology, you need to understand the input control and output control. The processing part is done by technologists, technology and whatever. Now we don't understand the input, we don't understand the output. Then the air malik bರ್ತದೆ. Correct? You go to a shop and you give a description of a 5-feet cloth. So one fellow will give you a curtain cloth, one fellow will give you something else, one fellow will give you tent, one fellow will give you side curtain, and you have gone to buy a sari. Correct? Now we move further. First we have AI is becoming strategic cyber capability, zero trust, frontier, critical infrastructure. We'll go ahead. In the AI age, critical digital infrastructure must be intelligent enough to detect threats, resilient enough to withstand attacks. So this is the core thought process. AI, and then we don't know whether it is AI digital infrastructure or it is AI system. So which is the intelligent layer, which is the infrastructure, which is the operations stuff, we have absolutely no idea. AI, and today all of you will go home and say, today though must AI ಮಾಡಿದೆ. 3 ಗಂಟೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಸ್ತಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. Okay, so we go ahead, jokes apart. Data-driven, adaptive, autonomous, decision-oriented and continuously running. AI systems are becoming the intelligent decision-making layer that power modern digital infrastructure. This is the system, that is the infrastructure. So let's be very clear about it. So you cannot play with the frontier models. If you get a chance to use, that itself is more than enough. How do you secure systems? So complete life cycle you have to get into, essential controls, key messages, ensuring digital resilience in the AI age. Normally resilience ಇದೆ ಇಲ್ವಾ? NEET, CBSE, ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ನಮ್ಮಿಲ್ಲೇ ಈ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ HP was doing it now. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಏನು ಬಂತು ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟೋ ಬಂತು ಇಲ್ವಾ Do we have the resilience to fight back? Or we have the resilience to hide and camouflage? Anyway, it's left to you. 7 pillars of digital, I'll just give the first words. AI-driven cyber defense, zero trust architecture, secure by design. It has to be there. Cyber resilience engineering, trusted data ecosystem, human resilience, and adaptive governance. Now the whole world is trying and fighting it out. There should be some regulation on AI. Otherwise, we will lose control and the AI will do whatever it feels like. It has happened a couple of times and we don't wake up. I think they will take over. And I think there's somewhere in China, I saw a cartoon some 5-6 years back. So it is a assembly line, automobile assembly line. And the robo is saying that we have won. So humans are out, they have won. So this is where we are. Predict, prevent, protect, detect, respond, recover. These are all the standard systems. So we'll close with a final thought. The future belongs not to the organizations that prevent every attack, but to those that can anticipate, absorb, recover, and emerge stronger for them. Thanks a lot, all of you, for being a very nice audience.
Thank you, sir, for that timely reminder on securing our digital and AI infrastructure. I request Manoj Jain, sir, to give Sanjay Saha, sir, a token of gratitude from Government of Karnataka. Thank you, sir. Moving to the last segment of this session, I invite Dr. Shrivya, sir, Project Director, Karnataka AI Cell, Center for E-Governance, to present the vision, initiatives, and roadmap of Karnataka AI Cell. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, sir, for a detailed presentation about covering the risk and how much careful we have to be in the IT and cyberspace. Now the question is whether should you use AI or not use AI is not the question. We don't have a choice. We have to use, but how responsibly, how carefully we can build system is a concern. So I always, my friend is a doctor, he says, just because a person has got a food poison, we cannot stop giving him food. We have to give a hygienic food so that he can recover. So resilience is something we need to bring in our systems and the application what we are going to build. So with this, I'll start this presentation, not more than 10 minutes strictly. So I will just give you a glimpse of what Karnataka AI Cell is doing. All this presentation, what we heard, everything comes with a cost, right? Whether that cost is appropriate or not, whether that is the right way of procuring or not, whether for a given problem statement AI is required or not, that is the area we come in. We can help departments to solve your problems using the AI, or we can help you do it responsibly. So responsible AI by design, it's a very heavy word to say, but yes, now there is a committee in the government of Karnataka headed by Mr. Chris Gopalakrishna. The draft policy of the responsible AI is ready. It is expected to release by the end of this month. Lot of thoughts have gone into that responsible AI policy by all the industry leaders and also leaders from the government of Karnataka. Next. So what AI Cell does, basically there are 4 pillars. Everybody told 7 pillars, 6 pillars and all. We in Karnataka AI Cell, we have only 4 pillars. The idea is, the first one is the advisory pillar that I told you about responsible AI, the risk, how can be done, whether the given problem statement requires AI to solve or not. Then procurement guidance, I think Santosh sir also mentioned. AI procurement is not as simple as IT procurement. So if some vendor is coming and saying it is 99% accuracy, one is that 1% risk, but also whether that 99% accuracy has come on some Western data, on a Western model, right? When we try with our own data, whether we'll give 99% accuracy. And accuracy itself is not a right way to measure an AI model. We always go with confusion matrix, whether how many false acceptance, how many true acceptance kind of things. I think, yeah, that is something we have to go with. Then GPU infrastructure, we all know no AI application can be built without a GPUs, right? So GPUs are the most expensive hardware today. AI looks very attractive, fascinating, but if you see the application building in AI, if you don't do it in a proper way, the total cost of ownership will become very high. So GPU is such a critical component because compute plays a very important role. What we have done in the Karnataka AI cell, we have taken the GPUs through India AI mission, where India AI mission has identified the L1 for each models, for example, H100, H200, B300s like that. Based on the size, based on the requirement, we have taken those GPUs on a yearly reserve, and Government of India is also giving 40% subsidy for us. So rather than procuring, for example, I think one H200 will cost nearly 3 crore rupees, and the waiting time is also in terms of few months, maybe 8 to 10 months. And within a year or two, it can, things are changing so quickly, it can become outdated one. So in that way, procuring GPUs independently in each department may not make sense because that utilization has to be proper. In that way, we can help departments if you are building AI application. Then second pillar is solution development. So, we have built, we can also support departments building AI applications. We have a team of AI engineers, data engineers, AI scientists and all. So we have built a few applications. I will show it in the next slide. And the third pillar is the upskilling. This is exactly what we are doing. We are also conducting trainings with the IIPA, PAC and different centers to senior KAS officers, deputy secretaries and departments, because AI literacy is very important. As one mentioned that if some section officer, just to improve a document, English or something, if you upload some confidential document on a ChatGPT or Gemini, the data lies with them and it is also available to others. So the last one is the collaboration pillar. We have, being in Bangalore, being the IT capital, we are also collaborating with India AI and also the companies available in the Government of Karnataka. Just to give a glimpse of the applications developed by Karnataka AI cell, the Kayaka is the idea is something productivity suit for the government employees. It is under testing with Santosh Mishra sir. We have done it. It will be made live. The idea is whatever the secretariat staff, something drafting letters, translating it to English or Kannada, or doing some OCR, those kind of things can be done in a safe and secure way and easily. For that, we have built this tool and it will be soon available to the government employees. Then responsible AI framework, the policy is ready. Then we are also in the process of establishing AI and data labs in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities with collaboration with Government of India. The idea is not every diploma holder or a ITI holder or engineer can become a data scientist. There are different kind of skill sets, something like annotation. We need so much annotation engineers or annotation people to do annotation. So those kind of skills will be imparted during in these Tier 2 data labs. I think 51 such labs are approved for the Government of Karnataka. 23 labs will be established in the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities of the ITI colleges. Then we also got an AI Center of Excellence for Public Sector Innovation in collaboration with Government of India and also with a partner organization. It is focused to build solutions for the G2G and G2C kind of solutions in collaboration with Government of India. Then citizen services, we have built something like a translation tool which is available in the AI cell website, and we have also built a grievance platform on WhatsApp. People can file their grievance in a WhatsApp in a simple way. Currently, if you have to file a grievance, you need to know, for example, if garbage is not collected in front of my house, I need to know which is the secretariat, which is the line department, which is the category, subcategory, things like that. But now that categorization part AI can take care on a simple interface like WhatsApp. Citizens can either speak in Kannada or English, or they can post, they can take a photo of the grievance, and AI model will describe and it will route it to the right department. Then chatbots are built, and Kartavya is an attendance application. I'm sure most of you are aware. Now every day 3.6 lakh government employees are marking. It's an in-house application built at the Karnataka AI cell, almost like a low cost or no cost solution. There is no cost on spending the capex and opex and procuring the biometric devices or on the O&M, and also at the convenience of accessing the centralized report to the head of the department to see in the lower levels. Then Nirantara is another application built by the Karnataka AI cell, which captures the student attendance, group attendance at once. So now, for example, if I have to capture the attendance, I'll just take a photo and all these participants' attendance will be marked. This is rolled out in government schools currently. Around 30 lakh students' attendance is captured every day using the system, because government spends huge money to the beneficiaries. It is helping to reduce a lot of ghost beneficiaries in the system. Then Saramsha is a summarizer tool. We all know, I'm sure we all have used tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude. None of these things say I don't know. If we ask anything, it will answer something. The idea for in government, credibility is more important than being speed. So the Saramsha tool is built in such a way that whatever the government orders we tried, the policy, notification, document, it can answer only based on the documents what we have tried. If it is not there, it will say, I don't know, I don't have the information. So in a simple English language they can write, or Kannada they can write and get the response along with the citation to that GO document or policy document. Then face match as a service, because we have worked on computer vision, there is something called Aadhaar for cattle. Just like we have our biometrics uniques, cattle also have this muzzle area unique. That's from the literature, it is unique. So that ridges and rods have a unique pattern. So now we have developed an application to identify the cattle uniquely just with a computer vision, just with an application. So I think we have collected around 5,000 cattle's images from the field, and the model is trained, and now it is able to detect individual cattle, because government also spends money on starting from procuring the cattle to vaccination, things like that. So CCMS, we all aware that court case management system, even though that it is unable to identify whether it's the same case is there in different zones or in different places. Now we have enhancing that with the AI capability by identifying which cases are going for contempt, which is that, the predicting that which can become high risk kind of things. See, the Karnataka AI cell is positioned in a way that it is the state nodal agency to work with India AI mission, also with the state departments, and we have academia partners like IASC, IIITB, and we are also connected with industry partners and startups. Yeah, the idea is we have tried something whichever is low-hanging fruit rather than doing huge investment on the AI space. So if any department has any problem statement, we can help you identify which AI model can work better with you and what is the right way to go ahead, also providing the compute facility. Yeah. So one is advisory, identification of the AI use case, evaluation, solution development, and capacity building for your staff, and responsible AI implementation. So everybody has stressed on one point, technology is not the only thing, governance is more important. Human in the loop is very important. So governance precedes technology. With this note, I would love to thank you all for being so patient and listening a series of presentations. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for that comprehensive overview of AI Cell's roadmap for the state of Karnataka. As we draw today's proceedings to a close, I invite Ms. Renu Ranjini, Honorary Director of Bangalore Management Association, to deliver the key takeaways from this session. Madam, please.
Thank you, Pramadita. Good afternoon, all. It's a well-spent morning. And I would like to just summarize key takeaways through all 8 sessions we had today. Starting from Pankaj Pandey, IAS and Chief Secretary of e-governance. He has basically started our session calling out the key priorities: the trust, the data protection, transparency, governance, and multilingual ability as key themes that any AI solution should bring in. And of course, governance. So talking about governance and institutional readiness, the 2 sessions focused on these aspects, which were from PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC India, and also from Deloitte. I would like to just summarize the key themes from there. From Santosh Mishra's session on institutional readiness and governance, the key takeaways: that citizen comes first, the safe and accountable solutions, sovereign and local, and sandbox before the scale, and capacity before the deployment, and transparent and auditable. So these are the key themes and takeaways from Santosh's session. And then coming to Vijay Gopalakrishnan from Deloitte, the key takeaways were that choose the right technology and plan for scaling, choose right use cases, and make a business use case, and make a business use case of any problem you have, and operating model and governance, and build on AI-ready workforce, and get your data ready. So these are key tenets of deploying AI in your organization, because look, without governance, AI may fail and may be very risky. Following on, and the third session on the third session from NVIDIA, and that basically emphasized on the AI infrastructure and use of tokens, etc. So AI infrastructure, AI and cloud, the deployment, their key aspect is scalability and data governance in public sector is very important. So the AI imperative, AI-ready workforce, AI ecosystem, AI models, and data factories are the key aspects there. Following on, then Google spoke about Gen AI for citizen-centric governance and transforming the public sector delivery. So key use cases, they focused, the approach of Google was more on use case driven, and the use cases they spoke on were the public sector use cases, schools and college use cases, healthcare, disaster management, and agri-monitoring. Then we had Sarvam session, and the good aspect of Sarvam session is it is in-house, home-built, India-built AI. And then very, very important session, we just heard Sanjay Sahai sir about the cybersecurity. And cybersecurity is very, very important because cost of every breach is $2.83 million. And governments have gone to the extent of not fixing the cyber attacks because it's very expensive. So before you get into the trouble of fixing any AI, cyber attacks or wrong usage of AI, then think about the design and embed the cybersecurity aspects in your design is my key takeaway from Mr. Sanjay Sahai's cybersecurity session. Then seventh is our own Government of Karnataka applications from Srivyas. Many solutions basically use case driven for all Government of Karnataka applications like Kayaka or Kannada, Kasturi, Kartavya, and many more. So good takeaway I had in our Government of Karnataka applications is, so look, we hear all our partners like, educational institutional partners or industry partners. These Government of Karnataka AI cell is very well connected to all industry partners and to all educational institutions, research institutions, but it is built at a very optimal cost, and they have not done huge spending or huge data center or, so it's very optimally built in-house. And solution portfolio is has kept the user needs in mind. Now, if I talk about, I talked about what each one spoke, and my now summary would be where do you go from here? So we have Government of Karnataka here, and we have Shri Vyas, who has spoken about all the great solutions that already exist, but there may be more to come, and there may be need for many more use cases. But let me talk about what they have done well. I spoke about that, but what more or different they should do. They have optimally built solar portfolios, and they have great partnerships, and they have not spent too much money, and I'm not saying that they should spend too much money. I think there is need for more awareness of existing solutions, more scaling of existing solution, and the today's session and Manthan, AI Manthan, is an opener for all the participants here to tell you what AI is, what potential use cases are, and what each provider is providing, what are the risks, what governance needs to be kept in mind before deploying AI at a scale, etc. So there is need for more awareness and more scaling and more awareness specific to each department and more user engagement to come up with use cases and see how the existing solution or any solution with any tweaks can be deployed for the in-house needs. And then, so which means that there is more and more user engagement and user connect needed. And that is how I would say that this session has paved a way for, and as Mr. Pankaj Pandey said, that this is a starting session. So there could be more user-centric and user-focused sessions to carve out the use cases and deploy AI as needed in your respective areas. So finally, I would like to conclude with a vote of thanks. First of all, thanks to Mr. Pankaj Pandey, IAS, and Chief Secretary of E-Governance for Government of Karnataka, and he is also the President for Bangalore Management Association. I'm Dr. Renu Rajani, an honorary director at Bangalore Management Association, and have great privilege of the leadership of Mr. Pankaj Pandey, and BMA is very happy and thankful for this association and support. I would like to thank the Secretariat, all of you present here, for delivering the session as well as for attending, and so much of network and discussions that happened to talk about your specific use cases, and you are welcome to talk to AI Cell with your specific needs. And then I'm thankful to Bangalore Management Association as a co-organizer for this series of sessions. Thankful to all the participants, and specifically thankful to capacity building team here in Government of Karnataka AI Cell, specifically Pramodita, who has coordinated this entire session and logistics. Thank you one and all, and wishing you a great lunch and rest of the day ahead.
Thank you, everyone. We would be sharing a feedback form with all the departments. We request your feedback so that we can plan our sessions, next sessions, as per the needs of the department. So please share us your feedback. And once again, thank you all from Government of Karnataka, Center for E-Governance, Karnataka IASL. Please, we request you to join us for the lunch. Thank you.